What's up, Meegan?
Hi.
What's up, Meegan?
Hi.
You did a nice presentation today.
Thank you.
It's an awesome presentation.
Thanks.
Nice lid.
Thanks.
Because 9/11, I didn't really know. I was so naive, in fact, that when I went to the recruiter, they asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I don't know. I thought I was going to be a sailor." And they said, "No, you can pick your job." And I said, "Oh, well, I don't know." And they said, "Well, what are you into?" I said, "Whales and dolphins." And they said, "You should be a sonar technician." And I said, "Really? Why is that?" And they said, "Because you could be doing this, training dolphins for the Navy. This is real. They have this. They do. The dolphins go look for mines and things." And it wasn't 100% of a lie. It was about 99.9% of a lie. But I was at 19. I was telling my whole family I was going to be a dolphin trainer for the Navy. That's not what happened. What happened was I went and worked with low-frequency active sonar. It's actually known as the most intense sonar on the planet. I didn't know until I went to school that it actually was going to, or that it killed cetaceans. So this is me right here deploying the low-frequency active sonar system. You can see that I'm wearing a hard hat there, and there's a little sticker that goes across. And I put a little a label on there that said, "Save the whales, stop LFA now," as I'm deploying the system. Always been an environmentalist, always. And it's interesting, so this system, in fact, is so massive that we're deploying 18 transducers. They're each the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. Goes down the center of the boat. That transducer essentially is a massive speaker. So, yes, so I got made fun of quite a bit, but I didn't care. All right, and I ended up doing 8 years in the Navy. So, sonar. It is an unfortunate necessity. I'm going to tell you why that is, because you can't just say, let's stop sonar completely. We can't do that. Part of the reason is that right now, anti-submarine warfare, ASW, is the #1 priority for the U.S. Navy. The reason for that is that all of we have a lot of quieting technologies for all of our submarines, including enemy submarines. And also the oceans are getting louder with shipping. In the last 15 to 20 years, the oceans have massively increased with noise. So, so this is why we have to use sonar. Also, China has the fastest growing submarine fleet in the world, and the fastest that the world has ever experienced. And the Navy thinks that the next realm of terrorist attacks are going to be submersibles and underwater mines. Okay, so 40 countries operate submarines, including Iran, North Korea, and Algeria. But the big bad boys are the SSBNs, they're ballistic missile carrying submarines. And we all have them, the United States has them, but so does Russia and China. And so China, again, is our #1 that we have our eyeball on. And Russia now, incredibly, after the Cold War, are starting to come back as a major threat as well. And SSBNs are extremely quiet. That's the whole point of them. They're really, really quiet. And so I have never detected one myself. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Okay. Chinese ballistic missiles, they can strike a target anywhere within the range of 6,000 miles within 30 minutes. And they can also hit many targets at the same time. So this is a major threat, right? I mean, we could have another 9/11 on our coast very, very, very easily. So we have to basically find a balance between national security and environmental health, and that's what I'm trying to do. There is another technology called LiDAR. It's theoretical at this point, so I'm not really going to get into it, but it's basically using light instead of sound. Of course, there's effect for everything that we do in the ocean, so it's hard to say what that would be, but that is something that the Navy's working on right now. Okay, so I'm not really going to talk much about the passive sonar. Basically, passive is just a massive hydrophone, so like the hydrophone over at Line Kiln where you can listen. It's basically it. You can just listen to sounds. That's what I started doing when I first became a sonar technician, was just passive listening because we didn't have the permits to go active yet. Now it's almost obsolete because the oceans are just so darn loud. And so we can't really use passive sonar very well anymore. During the Cold War, it was something that was pretty primarily used. So I'm going to kind of skip over that, and we're going to go to active sonar right here. Okay, so low frequency active sonar is the second one down there. That's the bad boy. The other one, the LFA, the very low frequency, they're talking about using that. It hasn't been used yet that I'm aware of. I know that China is trying to look at using that. So if you think low frequency sonar is bad, very low frequency is very bad. Mid-frequency is what the majority of the Navy uses. That's the one where most of the strandings that you hear about is from mid-frequency sonar. And then high frequency, there's not a lot to say that high frequency is actually bad for cetaceans as far as we know. Super high frequency are like your fish finders and things, and it may be an annoyance, but we don't think it's actually detrimental to their livelihood. This is just a little bit of decibel levels of some of the things that are found in the oceans. Look at the snapping shrimp about halfway down. Those guys are loud. We've heard them, yeah. But low frequency active sonar about 215 dB, but that doesn't tell the whole story because the frequency at which it goes out is also extremely loud. Okay, so advantages of active sonar. It's very, very long range. So long range, in fact. I can't give you the actual ranges, but I'll tell you something that when I was during RIMPAC, which is one of these massive Navy exercises over in Hawaii, we were over there and we were going active with our low frequency active sonar for 3 days straight. And on the third day, we get a message from one of the submarines that was 340 nautical miles away. They said they hadn't slept in 3 days because of our sonar. So if that gives you any indication of how loud this is and how far it can go and how annoying it can be and deadly, I don't know what will, but it's loud. So they're able to detect contacts in never-louding oceans, and they can determine the exact position of the contact. So unlike passive sonar where you're just listening, you can hear something but you don't know exactly where it is yet. With active sonar, you ping it, it comes back, and you have a pinpoint of where this contact is. So, but you do give away, here's the disadvantages, you give away your position. So if you're in a time of war and you're going active, you are a target. So torpedoes will find you. So you don't necessarily want to use it during a time of war. It's also harmful for the environment. You also need several pings to figure out what it is that you're actually pinging. Are you hitting a surface vessel, a submarine, a seamount, a whale? You don't really know. You have to have several pings to figure it out. It's also very difficult to determine the country of origin or the hull number of that submarine. So with passive sonar, there's something called a signature. You can listen and you can literally figure out the exact submarine it is, the hull number and everything. With active sonar, you're just pinging it, you don't necessarily know. Okay, now into the interesting stuff. Okay, so effects of active sonar on marine mammals. We talked about, I mean, basically what they say, a deaf whale is a dead whale. Certainly sonar can deafen a whale. I'm gonna go into what really actually kills them. And that is, well, first of all, beaked whales are most affected. The reason for that is that beaked whales are extremely deep diving. They're mammals just like us. They can get barotrauma just like us. So they can basically get the bends. So they're very deep diving up to 10,000 feet. And they also dive for a very long time. So these gases that are in their lungs get saturated within their tissues. They can come up too quickly and they will get the bends. So those gas bubbles will expand within their tissues and cause massive hemorrhaging. Also, what they found, there's a, I'll show you this because this is a beaked whale that was found, and that photo there is a photo of its liver. Those are the gas bubbles within its liver. And what they found is that the sound pressure of sonar is so intense that it actually causes the gases that are saturated in their flesh to expand on its own. So think about this for a second. If you were in all of us have been to a concert, right, where the music is so loud and you feel it shaking your heart, you know? And sometimes I wonder, like, is this even safe to be with this kind of bass in this concert? But that's through a very light medium like air. If you put this kind of sound, times it by 100, and put it in a heavy medium like water, it creates these sound pressure waves. Think of like an atomic bomb where you see it kind of blast out. Creates these waves, and it's those waves that cause this internal hemorrhaging. Okay. All of these are photos that have been correlated with Navy sonar use. Anybody recognize that guy over there in the white shirt? Yeah, it's Dave Ellifrit from the Center for Whale Research. That was in the Bahamas in 2000, and that's part of what War of the Whales, the book, was written about. We have this situation here with these dolphins. That was in Cornwall in 2008, and then we have Greece of their So all of these correlated with active sonar use. I'm going to kind of bounce around this map and show you actual real correlations, and this is just scratching the surface of some of the situations that we've seen throughout the years. So in November of 1963, there was 15 Cuvier-beaked whales that were stranded in Italy. So yeah, it started that long ago. 1989, the Canary Islands, we had 20 total different animals. Also, if there's multiple species that are beaching themselves or stranding themselves, that's pretty much indicative of sonar or of acoustic trauma. This one happened in Greece in 1996, 14 Cuvier's-beaked whales. This was a NATO operation. This was the first time ever that anyone admitted that sonar actually hurt marine mammals. First time, 1996. The last time was in the Bahamas in 2000. So we had several animals beach themselves there, and the U.S. Navy admitted, this is the only time the U.S. Navy has ever admitted that sonar did affect these animals, was here in the Bahamas, because there was just no contest. Okay, and this was not necessarily Navy sonar, but oil exploration. 100 melon-headed whales in Madagascar in 2008. That's nuts. I mean, this oil exploration thing is kind of putting the Navy to shame in a way as far as the sonar use. It's so incredibly loud. It's louder than sonar. Okay, and then June of 2008 in Cornwall, England, there were 60 short-beaked dolphins. All right, so why does this hit home? Here in Washington State, we have the Northwest Testing and Training Range Complex. It's about the size of the state of California, and this is basically where a lot of our sonar training is done in this state, and also where they do a lot of bombing. So there's a bombing range out there. The part that's all striped, that is the Navy's bombing range. And this is part of the reason, and I know that Howard Garrett and Ken Balcom can speak more eloquently about this, but this is part of the reason why we think that the L pod is most affected, or why there's more deaths in the L pod than any of the other pods, and that's because the L pod spends a lot of their time right in that region. So they might be being affected by the bombing range. These are all the animals that the Navy has said that could be found in this bombing range, and as you can see, there's a lot of animals on there that are thought to be endangered or depleted. Okay, so this is the Navy's current mitigation measures. This is what they're currently doing to try to protect these animals. First of all, they want to do pre-exercise monitoring. So they want to listen for marine mammal vocalizations. They want to visually look for these animals, and then they want to use helicopters with a dipping sonar to try to see if they can, for 10 minutes, before they do anything major. First of all, I was never trained to acoustically find a cetacean or listen to one. There was a booklet that was in our workstation that I could open up and look and see what maybe that sounded like or looked like on a screen, but we were never required to do that, so I had no idea. You know, no one really had any idea unless you decided that you wanted to open up that book and look. So this isn't necessarily a requirement for any sonar technician. Posting training lookouts. So lookouts must go through marine mammal identification training, but it is not their sole duty. These people are on the bridge, they're looking at radar, they're looking at the GPS, they're figuring out what they're doing. They're not just looking for marine mammals. Also, they can't do it at night, so they're only effective during the day, right? And it's estimated that only 1 to 2%, or there's a 1 or 2% chance of actually seeing a beaked whale. They're so long diving and deep diving. So, and of course, if you get any kind of sea state, any kind of waves, your chances go way down from there. So is this really effective? No. Okay. And then we want to establish mitigation zones. So power down the sonar by 60 dB. Now remember, low frequency active sonar is at about 215 decibels. Mid-frequency sonar is at about 248 decibels. So they want to lower it by 6. When a marine mammal is sighted within 1,000 yards of the sonar dome. They want to lower it by an additional 4, so a total of 10, when sighted within 500 yards. And then active transmissions will completely stop when they're within 200 yards. How many of you have gone whale watching out here? Okay, so our limit, we must stay 200 yards from any orcas. Do you see how close that is, right? That's pretty close. Okay, so they're saying, yeah, when they're that close is when we finally stop. This is a sound that can be heard from over 400 miles away. But we know we have to stop them when they're within 200 yards. Is that effective? No. Okay. This one I think is really funny. They just want to conduct safe navigation. So Navy vessel operators are watchful for objects in their path. They use caution, operate at speeds consistent with mission and safety, and they try to avoid collision with a whale. Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't? No, not just Navy operators. Anybody would. Okay. So how can we then effectively mitigate harmful effects to marine mammals? This is what I spent my last 14 years trying to figure out. Okay. Oops. Okay, so first, we can increase simulated training. So every single time that a sonar ping has left the sonar dome, it has been recorded. And it's recorded, it's actually taped, so you can actually play it back in the system. So anyone can actually take this tape and train on former pings that have already been done. So what that means is that sonar techs can go out on the ship, they can even go out to sea, and they can play these things back. And the only difference, one, there's an bound to protect, they were not protecting the endangered species. So at this time, low frequency active sonar is not being used, and they're trying to figure out which areas they can use it, but it is small.
There it is, there it is!